button so I don't forget that. Welcome everyone to this session, noon session at VSTE 20. My name is Tim Stommer and I'm with Tamara Lederer. We're your hosts for today's session. And I'd like to introduce Kristen Barr, who's from Williamsburg, James City County Schools. I got that right, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
And she's going to talk to us about Microsoft Sway for lessons, newsletters, and training. So Kristen, take it away.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. As he said, my name is Kristen Barr. I'm going to get my presentation up here for you, and we are going to be talking about Microsoft Sway for lessons, newsletters, and training. We'll start with a little background on me. I am Kristen Barr, the coordinator of instructional technology and personalized learning for Williamsburg, James City County Schools. I also teach biology in our virtual learning program here, and I'm a Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert, which is a professional learning network that Microsoft offers for teachers worldwide who use Microsoft in their classrooms to collaborate, share ideas, learn new things. We are often asked to look at things that are in beta and things like that. So it's an awesome network to be a part of that I've been a part of for a couple of years. And Sway is a kind of lesser known, I think, Microsoft Office app. And so I wanted to share a little bit about it today. It is a presentation app. It is a virtual presentation app. So this is one of the programs that Microsoft offers that is not included with a desktop version. So if you're familiar with Office 365, it's a lot of the Microsoft products in their kind of light online version, and most have a desktop app that you can download and use, with fuller features. But Sway is one that is completely online, and it's a presentation app that includes a design engine. So what I really like about it is that for the creator, the focus is on content. So this is great to use with students, because students, especially, I used to teach middle school, they get bogged down in the details. They're like, I want to use this font. No, I want this font or this color. We need to do this. And they forget about they're doing a project on cells or on, Punnett squares, whatever it was that I was asking them to work on. So I like Sway because they really focus on the content, and then they can add some finishing touches and make some changes at the end. But a lot of the design is done for you. So I'll show you what that looks like as we go through it. But Sway offers templates for newsletters, blogs, resumes, and more. So if you're kind of paralyzed by that blank page, they offer templates, and it's free. So that's awesome. If you have Office 365 in your division, then you have access to it. If you don't, you still have access to it. You can create a free account and access Sway, and I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. So I want to show you a few examples first, and then get into how to create them and what the back end of it looks like. So first, a lesson example. As I mentioned, I am a biology teacher. So we are going to take a look at, if I can find the right window, my organelle. Let's see if it's going to it. Lesson for my students. So this is a Sway that I created. I hope you can see it. It switched on my screen, but I never know how far behind Zoom is. On cellular organelles. So I put that title in and that image, and then here's a stack of images of various organelles. This is a caption that tells them what it is, if it's not as obvious. So they can click through and just see images. And then as we scroll down, there's instructions to watch a video with an embedded video here that would play right within the Sway. So it's not taking them outside to, this is a YouTube video, but wherever you house your videos. And then individual information about different articles or web pages about each of the different organelles. So I almost make these like a hyperdoc where there's links, there's activities for them to do, different things for them to do along the way. And this was an asynchronous or an individual lesson that they completed on their own. So let's get back to the presentation. I've used it before for newsletters. So I think this is a great way to provide information to staff members, to colleagues, to parents and families, to your students. We use them with our technology integration coaches. My supervisor and I often share updates, and we found that we were spamming our team with emails. And so we said, we're going to try, and things that aren't urgent, the two of us share one sway where we created, and we both just added bits and pieces so we could give our weekly update on Friday to our team. So it was a really easy way for us to collaborate on something without having to email documents back and forth and do that sort of thing. So we've used it for newsletters. I know teachers who have used it to update what's going on in their classroom. This was more in the traditional classroom, but they would share pictures of what their kids were doing, projects they were working on, and things like that. And it's shared, sways are all shared. As I said, they're online, so they're shared with a link. So one nice thing is that you can edit the sway and the link doesn't change. So I had a teacher who created one sway, used the same link all year, and just with whatever frequency, I don't recall if it was weekly or monthly, but her parents knew that she would swap out the pictures, swap out the updates, and go from there. So she didn't have to keep saying, this is this month's newsletter and that month's newsletter. It was always the same link, and it stayed consistent for the whole year.
Kristen, a quick question.
Yeah.
Can anybody view the sways even if they don't have an account? Can they still view them?
You set parameters. So we'll go over that when we look at the kind of behind the scenes and the settings, but you can choose for them to be anyone with the link can view the sway. So yes, you can do that. If you wanted to make it more specific, you can say specific groups and add specific users, or you can do anyone with our domain. So if it's a school-based, you could say that your school-based domain, they have to log in with their account. And then I have used Sway for trainings. So this is a great way. We've tried to do some professional learning and provide information to teachers and staff that they can reference back to. And I've used Sway for this purpose. Actually, this was our VSTE in the summer. They had the virtual VSTE playground, and I submitted a Sway to provide information for that. This was the immersive reader information that I did for that purpose. And all of these, if you download this presentation from the Sketch, the Sways are all linked on here. So all of these are linked. So you can actually go and look at this on your own time later if you're interested in immersive reader. But I also use it with students. So we've used Canvas this year with all of our students, obviously with our switch to remote and hybrid learning, but we used it for our virtual learning program, which served about 500 students in previous years each year. And they would join us at different times for different reasons, and they wouldn't really know how to use Canvas. And so I created a Sway and gave the link to counselors, to online learning lab facilitators, to teachers, to administrators, and said, here, whoever asks you they say, I don't know how to use Canvas, here's a link that you can give to them, and there's all of the information that they need to know. So it was a really easy way to provide that sort of information for students when we didn't know who would necessarily need to be providing that information. So it worked out really, really well to use Sway for that purpose. So let's take a look at what Sway looks like if you were to be creating it. So first we have the dashboard. If you log into Office 365, if you have Office 365 in your school division, this should look familiar. This is the landing page, the dashboard for Sway. Once you click on the icon over there on the left in your menu of icons, the Sway is green with the little S in it. And the first thing you can choose on the page is to start a new Sway. So here's where you have the option to start just blank canvas if you already know what you want to do and you want to get in there and create your own. You can start from a document. You can actually import a Word document, a PowerPoint, some other files where even PDFs, where they'll take the features of that file and transfer it into the sway. So it'll take the headings and make it into headings and text into text, images and such as that. So you oftentimes have to kind of finesse it, but it'll bring all of the bulk of the information in for you. And then here are those templates that I referenced at the beginning: a blog template, newsletter, DIY
Kristen,
project.
I'm sorry, somebody in the chat is saying that they see your presentation, but not your active screen. So what you're talking about, I don't think they're seeing the same thing.
Yeah, I'm not sharing an active screen.
Oh.
I'm sharing just the image of the dashboard.
Oh, okay.
Yep. We'll get to the active one in just a second, I promise. Because there's actually going to be 2 different dashboards. So I wanted to show them both before I went in and looked at Sway. So the next thing there is you can see all of your recent Sways. So if you've been working on something or looking at something, then they'll all appear there based on what you've looked at recently. And then at the very bottom, there's featured Sways, which are publicly shared Sways that Microsoft Educator community has on their website, where you can look at and take inspiration from other Sways that people have shared. Also, depending on their permissions, you may be able to duplicate it and bring it into your own account. So you can see here under the recent Sways, under yours, there's a little box on the right that has all Sways. When you click there, you get brought to another dashboard. And this is where we're going to look at a live, we'll bring you into the live features, but you can see here at the top, again, you have create new, you have start from a document, but you also have start from a topic, which I think is really helpful if you're using this and asking students to create a Sway. If you are in a Microsoft division and students have Office 365 accounts, starting from a topic will give you an outline for a topic. So they could put in the topic Abraham Lincoln, and it'll bring up like a biography recommended topic where it'll say give birth information, why are they significant, add an image here, and it'll kind of prompt them. So it's a great scaffold for all students if they're just learning how to research, for students who maybe need that as part of an IEP or a 504 where they need some extra support, or just students who need some extra support and need help with outlining. So start from a topic is a really great tool that you can use, especially I think with students. So let's take a look now at an active board. So give me one moment to switch up what I'm sharing with you. And we're back at that organelle one, but here is the blank canvas for what you get after you click on start a new Sway. And again, it's really very basic. So you're focusing on the content. You don't even see a lot of features in terms of different selections for fonts or colors or anything like that. What Sway actually does is takes what you put into your Sway, images and other things, and then uses the color schemes from there to recommend the backgrounds. So first we have here is the title of our Sway. So I'm going to call this VSTE sessions. So let's say that I want to share with my team the information that I got from all my VSTE sessions this week. So my title is VSTE sessions. The only options I have for this font is to emphasize it, which makes it bold, or click accent, which makes it italic. Those are the only options we have right now. So again, I say this often, some people, this is like not, like this takes a minute to get over the fact they're so used to being into PowerPoint and Word where they have all these options all the time. But for some people, this is very relieving. They can just type what they need to type and worry about it later. You can also link it. So if you wanted to highlight it and put a hyperlink in there, you can do that. The background image, that's where I put that cell picture and the one we looked at. You click here and it opens up a panel where you can choose different images. It'll select suggested images based on web searches. So it's taking VSTE sessions, the title, that's not going to produce any results. But it'll also give you some common, just general categories. I could search conference, and now it's going to bring up Images, I can select Creative Commons only so that I know that I can use this image. Let's say I want this picture to be my title picture. I just click it, click add, and now that's added to my presentation. This word suggested is actually a drop-down menu, and it gives you options for where you want to grab your image from. So if you have it saved in your OneDrive, you can grab there. If you want to search Flickr, Bing Images, pick it. You can add YouTube videos, and then also you can add from your own device. So that's kind of hidden, and I know some people get frustrated because they can't figure out how to add their own picture. It's there in that drop-down. So once you click on My Device, it'll open up your file folder and allow you to search for your image. So once you have your title there, this plus sign is how you add another card. These little boxes where you can add your content, they're called cards. So you click the plus sign and it's going to suggest what would make sense to add next based on what you just added. So you can add a heading, some just regular text, an image, a stack is a group of images, or you can upload here where you upload a file, as I had mentioned, where you start from another document. So even within a Sway, once you start it, you can upload a PowerPoint and it'll put in all the slides with the headings and the text and everything that you've already had. So if you want to add a heading, this is going to look very similar to the title card. You have your same options in terms of making it bold or italicized, adding a link, and then you can type here. So if I wanted to add first my Wednesday sessions, I can add that as the title, add an image if I want to in the same manner. You can even drag things over if you wanted to drag it instead of click the add button. It's really up to you. But the same types of options. Same thing with text, you get a few more options. Here you can type, and again, choose to bold or italicize. You can make a bulleted list. So sessions I attended, add a bullet and type in the sessions. You can make it numbered if you want, and of course, hyperlink things. And then here to the right, these little squares, these are your only options for your font size. So if I want to make it bigger, I click the bigger box. If I want to make it smaller, it's smaller. Those are your only options for right now.
Kristen, there was a question in the chat from Chris. Can you upload images or documents from Google?
Excellent question. And I don't think so because it's not on here. I honestly have never tried because we aren't Google district, so we don't use Google Drive in that way. But I think you'd have to save them to your device first. So save them somewhere on your hard drive.
So you can't do just a general, you can't do a general Google
link
search for an image.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
So
that's where, so this search, I mean, the search is Bing, not Google, because it's a Microsoft product. Mm-hmm. But here, that's what all of these images are the results of a Bing search. It's just a general Bing search.
But then if somebody had an image or a document in their Google Drive,
they'd have to save it to their device first, I believe. There's nowhere to just add, well, yeah, there's nowhere to just add it, or you can add a link.
Heather chiming in. Heather said to just save the image and then upload it.
Right. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Image to your device first. Yep. So once you have your text, again, you just keep clicking to add your card. So every time you want to add something else to your Sway, you just click to keep adding your cards. So images are going to all work in the same way that the background image did with our first image, and you can add a caption. So I don't know what I want to put. Maybe this is, I want to put a picture of an M&M because it's VSTE. So I'm going to put this here and I'm going to say VSTE loves M&Ms as the caption of the image. You can make your caption bold, you can italicize it, you can do all of the same things that you would with your text card here for the caption. The other thing with images is this focus points option. When you click there, it'll open up a panel with your image and ask you to click where you want it to focus. So let's say I want this red M&M to be my focus. I'll click there to put our circle there. And when this is viewed in the sway, it makes sure to focus on that part of the image. If the entire image is important, you can click to show the entire image. So that's your option there. So I'm going to leave that red so you'll see. I'll show you guys what this looks like in a preview in just a second here. So it's as easy as that. You just keep clicking to add things. Text, you can add subheadings, which is the heading number 2. But then the text cards there. Media, I want to just look at for a second. In addition to images, you can add videos. And videos, you can search for in the same way. You can find ones that are already saved on your computer. You can use YouTube, and you can do just general searches. It searches Bing. And then, of course, it's linked to your OneDrive. And those images that you add to the sway will play right in your sway. That doesn't take you out of the sway. Audio files, you can add recorded audio files, but you can also record them here within the sway. So if you wanted to give directions for your lesson, if you're doing a sway for a lesson, you can record and say, welcome to whatever day. Here's what you're going to do today. Click on these links. When you're done, make sure you turn in this, or you go to there, or whatever it is that you want them to do. So you can add the record button. This video result over here, M&M stuck in the nose, just really distracted me. Bad result. I don't know if that did for anyone else, but that was the video result that came up when we searched M&Ms. You can embed within your sway. So anything that has an embed code can be embedded into your sway. I have not found anything that hasn't worked. So Microsoft Forms, Padlets, Kahoots, you don't usually have an embed code for. Quizlets, you can embed and have them function right within your sway. So again, if you're using this kind of like a hyperdoc or for a lesson, you can embed things there. If you're doing a training and you want feedback on how people are using things or what they thought, you can embed a Padlet or a Flipgrid or something like that right within your sway. And then grouping just gives you options for how you can display images. So there's automatic, which just like vertically lines up those images. The grid is going to put them in a 3x3 grid or larger. It's 3 across, and then however many down you need for rows of images. The comparison I'm going to show you really quickly because I think it's pretty cool. So for your comparison, let's say that you wanted to compare, I don't know, green M&Ms to the rainbow of M&Ms for whatever reason. Whoops. And if something, you can drag and drop. So like that image for some reason didn't go where I wanted it to, you can drag and drop it where you do want it to. And now it's going to compare those two images. So I want to see what I've done so far. Up here in the upper right, you can click play. And it's going to show you what they've chosen for the background. So they pulled out this purple with that font for us. And then this is scrolling sessions I attended. And this is that comparison. Oh, I used the same picture. So it's kind of, but this is that comparison image. I can move this slider and look at the two images side by side. So if you think about that for various lessons, that could be really cool. Art teachers might say, look at this compared to this, and be able to actually have that comparison kind of more dynamic. I think it's a cool little display for images. So if I'm looking at this and now I say, well, I didn't want these next to each other because that's confusing, I can click edit. And if I filled out some of these cards, that would change it, but I can also change the size. So if I make that image bigger, it's going to take up more of the screen and it's not going to be right next to that other one anymore. So now that's the whole screen and this is below it. So you don't have much control again in exactly how you can size those. Like I can't drag it and make it a specific pixel by pixel kind of, dimensions, but you can choose small, medium, or large, pretty much. If I click back to edit, now I want to say, well, I didn't like that purple, or I didn't like that it scrolled vertically. I wanted it to scroll horizontally. On the left-hand side here, there's a design tab. And in the design tab, when you click on styles in the right, here, I can just click to remix, and that's just going to shift everything and change it up. So now I got this other font. I have this floral background. You can click that as many times as you want to, and it's going to keep changing the background and the fonts. Okay, so you can do this as many times as you want to until you find something that you do like. Some of the backgrounds, admittedly, are very distracting. So,
Excuse me, Kristen.
you know, yeah.
I'm sorry for jumping in here, but I'm giving you your 5-minute
5
warning.
minutes. Yep. Thank you. So you can choose what you want, and then you can customize it. So if you wanted this, but you didn't really like those fonts, you can choose from paired fonts. So again, the focus with this product is not all of the design details and all of the function, but rather it gives you some design suggestions that you can choose, and it'll respond accordingly. So that's what you've got. When you're done with that, you can click back on the storyline here in the upper left and get back to those cards where you can edit and change things. So that's the gist of it. I'm going to go back to the presentation here and give you information about accessing Sway. So how do you get there? If you have an Office 365 account, you can just log in if you already have it. If you don't, you can go to sway.office.com and create a Microsoft account to be able to access this for free. I'm on the board of a local organization here, and I use Sway for our monthly newsletters. And I just have a regular account with my Gmail address that I use for that purpose. So you go to the website, click on get started, where it says no account, create one, click on create one, and then you can use any email address to create your account. So some tips I have for you is hopefully after this session ends, you'll kind of play around with this as you're finishing up your lunch. Use your title and headings thoughtfully. If you look at some of the sways that I have in this presentation, if you download it, in the lower right-hand corner, you can click on a table of contents. I didn't get to show you this, but it pulls the headings. And so for students or for staff members, whoever is using the sway, to go to a specific heading is useful. Check on how your image sizes and how they display, how you want them to be, and use your remix button. Choose your own design if you want to, but again, the emphasis with this is really what you put into it, not having to do the design. And then the last thing you're going to need to do is share your sway. So in the upper right-hand corner of the website, there's a share button. And this is where you choose who has the permissions to view your sway. You can choose either specific people, only those within your organization, or anyone with the link. That will produce a unique link here where you can choose if people who are invited only view it, or if you can collaborate with them so they can edit it. You click to copy that link, and then you can share that however you would normally share a link. You can get an embed code to embed sways. I've embedded sways in Canvas pages so that students can use the information in the sway, but they don't have to go outside of our learning management system. You can choose to require a passcode. If you really had something in there that you wanted to make sure was only viewed by certain people, you can add a passcode. And you can decide if you want the share button in the top. Because if I really like your sway, I might say, okay, I'm going to share this with somebody else. But you may not want people to have that function. So you can do that. The last thing you can do is export a sway. So under the 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner, kind of to the right of that share button, you can choose export, and you can export it either as a Word document or as a PDF. So if you had someone who didn't have internet access, or you wanted to print a copy of a newsletter to post somewhere, you could do that. So that is it. And I don't know where my time is. I'm pretty close, I think, but I'm happy to take any other questions or see what's going on in the chat because I haven't been looking at it.
We can probably have a couple of minutes if somebody has some questions that they want. And then they have your contact information there. So
Yes, please contact me. And I agree with, I see some of the chats, the simplicity. A lot of times people get so bogged down, it's almost like paralyzed by all of the choices. So the simplicity, it really helps, I think, shift the focus to where you want it to be. You want them to have fun, and that remix button is kind of fun. It gives them enough of that, but their focus is really on the content. So thank you guys for attending and sharing lunch with us.
well,
Well, no
thank
one
you.
shared their lunch with me, but
Well, we'll see what we can do. Thank you, Kristen. It's very interesting. And thank you to everybody that attended. We'll see you at the next session at 5 this afternoon.
and yes, someone asked about sharing it. The